Good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome to Coffee Talk, brought to you by the Regal Company. This is my co host, Laura Giacomelli. Good morning, Laura.
Good morning, Ree. How are you today?
Oh, I can't complain. Just left Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and hanging out with my friend Michelle Soutier
Mhm.
here in the it's Weddington area of Charlotte, North Carolina, enjoying the journey.
And it's her birthday today, right?
It is her birthday today, so here's a shout out to Miss Michelle. Who knew that was what a coincidence?
I know, right?
It's funny you should say that. I was scrolling this morning and I knew so many people who had a birthday today. Thought
Oh,
it was kind of coincidental. September 30th was a great dance being born artist day. So happy birthday to everybody.
us Libras. I agree.
What's exciting with you?
What's exciting with me? Studio's open. We're heading into October right now, so we're like a month in. It's going really well. I have like a lot of new staff on board right now, which is exciting, and a lot of alumni who came back who are now teaching. This is like the first year where I had this like big wave of like co-teachers of alumni coming back. So it's just like it's interesting to watch them. It's like a proud
Are
moment to
they are they doing well?
they're doing
Well,
so great. So
yeah.
great. A lot. So right now, most of them are co-teaching. So I brought someone to teach their own classes, but if they are teaching their own classes, they all have to co-teach with like a really strong teacher. So I had one who came back who's teaching senior tap. She's one of my most incredible tappers I've ever taught in my life. I actually had to go to one of your tap intensives in Massachusetts to continue my education to teach her. That's how incredible she was, Ray. She's just incredible the way she taps. And so when I needed a tap teacher, I reached out to her right away. She was like, I went to school for education. I would love to. So it was kind of like a perfect fit, right?
Right,
Like she has that education background, she has the technique and the teaching ability. So she's also co teaching with one of my really strong instructors. And then I have someone who took over my adult hip hop program. Same thing. They're co teaching with one of my really strong hip hop instructors. So it's so weird to finally be in a spot where like I'm at the studio's old enough to have alumni to like have that full circle moment. I've never been there. You know what I mean? Like to get them back into the studio teaching. It's like this is like the first year. And I have one other who went to school. She was a dance minor and she's now co-teaching babies. And she used to help me with the babies when she was a teenager. So it's just like this whole like, oh my God, like first off, how am I that old?
enjoy this because in a maybe, well, say 8 more years, 10 more, you're going to have grand students and stuff, and then it's going to feel awkward. So
You're
just,
right.
this is a perfect place for you right now.
Right in the middle, right? I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Yeah. But how are you? How's things going with you? Like, how are you with the storm? Was everything okay with that?
I saw remnants of the storm. It was seemed like there was nothing. Okay, so I'm in South Carolina. Really, it was to the west of where I was, the root of this hurricane.
Okay.
But I'm like, okay, it's not bad, big waves, and I'm on the 18th floor overlooking this, some wind. I go into the bathroom, I take a shower, I come out, and it's everywhere. The chairs on the deck
Whoa.
were blowing around, the rain was coming and hitting the glass. I'm like, okay. And then the phone started going, go to a lower floor if you're in a high rise. So I go, all right, am I going to do this or not? And then a woman knocked on my door with service for the hotel. I go, are we going to die? Are we going to live? What's going to go on right now? She goes, I think you're safe. So she asked me if I needed any service.
Do you need towels? Go back to bed. You're
I
fine.
stayed in the room and I made it. And it was over quick. But there was a moment in time where I go, okay, this is feeling a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we hope all the studios that were affected are okay, everybody
Ah,
listening and watching, because I know that was really destructive in some parts of the country. It was crazy.
here in Western North Carolina, as well as I guess Eastern Tennessee,
Mhm.
working really hard to get my directions right, because I've moved to a new area and I get confused at times. I'll tell you before we go to our guest, Stacey. I saw an area that I've never seen. I've taught everywhere, but I've never seen Charleston, South Carolina, and I had the chance to go there last weekend. Beautiful
Yay.
country porches, just everything you'd imagine it to be. So excited that I had that chance.
Oh, good. Oh, that's awesome.
So happy birthday to Monica. See,
Hey,
we even have somebody here with us today whose birthday it is.
it's a busy day. Happy birthday.
I'm going to share with everybody a commercial for the Dance Life Teacher Conference. And then we're going to bring in Stacey Morgan live from Australia. She's a blast. It's going to be fun. And here. Hello, everyone. Miss Stacey, welcome.
Thank you, friends. Good morning.
Good morning. We're so excited that you're here, Miss Stacey. Welcome.
Tell everybody where. Ooh, excuse me, not a good way to start off. Tell everybody where you're from, my friend. And
I'm from Australia, and it is 1 a.m. here. So none of my friends are watching. They're all asleep. But I'm thrilled to be here and thrilled. There's no other reason I'd set my alarm for this hour of the morning than to talk to you beautiful people. So thank you for having me.
Oh, and thank you for doing this. What I love is how dressed up you are, because we often meet at this time and for Gold Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
And you came to this ready to go. I feel like all three of us, this is welcome to Good Morning America.
This is very different to my usual 1 a.m. look. You normally get me in my dressing gown. I mean, the content's there.
Always.
Come to play.
Always.
But this is just for you.
Thank you so much.
Just talk, right? That's what we do at Gold Alliance. Share the screen and go.
That's right.
Okay, let's get to some serious business here.
Stace, got it.
Tell us about I feel like what I love to talk to you about most is how you inspire women, not just dance teachers, but women. You work with women business owners. How did you come to that place?
I love working with women who are in the thick of it, who are in the trenches. And as dance studio owners, that sometimes rings very true, because I think sometimes we think because we go into an area of it's our passion, we go into a place where we're very familiar. It's a dance studio. It's a place where we grew up. We go into this entrepreneurial journey, not necessarily because we want to run our own business, but because we love to dance and we want to pass it on to the next generation and share our passion and all of that stuff. then we find ourselves, along the journey, and we are business owners. And then we add to that the complexity of dealing with different personalities, whether that's leading a team or whether that's just dealing with customers and customer relationships. And then before we know it, we're in it. We're in the thick of it. And that's when I find that women especially get really overwhelmed with all of the responsibilities. And there is a uniqueness to the female experience in that way. We share the majority of the mental load. We have people relying on us, and we also have this innate desire to be able to help others and to share with others. We want to look after everybody and nurture everybody before we actually nurture ourselves. And what that leads to is, that overwhelm, that burnout. And that's when people, get to a point where they make big decisions about whether they want to do this long term or not. And so that's when I love to work with women who are running their own business, whether that's a dance studio or not. I'm really lucky to work with women across a whole range of genres and a whole range of industries. But the reason I can relate to them is because I'm also in the thick of it. I'm also there too. And it's a path that I've trodden, and it's a path that I'm still continuing to tread. And so I think I have a unique ability to be able to relate and also to be able to share my experiences, because anything that they're going through, I've probably already gone through it. I probably failed through it. I probably struggled through it. And hopefully by sharing with them my experience, not only will they feel like they're not alone, but they'll also get some tools and strategies and tips that will help them to stop making the mistakes that I have already made, and so therefore make their journey a little bit easier. And so that's why I really resonate with women, Ree, because we are ruling the world.
You are, and I'm totally willing to give it to you, my friend. There are not a lot of men who would say that, but I'm ready for you.
Good. That's how we like it.
Yep, 100%. And I would like to add to that, as someone who, like, you are my mentor because I'm in the Gold Alliance. So everything that you're saying, I can honestly say that it's true because I'm a part of that group, and I'm someone who has been able to take from your experiences and learned from them. And I don't know how else to say this, but I feel like you call them mistakes, but like the lessons that you've learned, I feel like I then hear you in the Gold Alliance and in our one-on-ones and in our training. And then I think to myself, okay, that didn't work. And the people before me have tried and tried and tried. And I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it a different way. And I feel like the reason where I am right now, and being able to enjoy Cole as much as I am, and have a very well-run business and have great employees and great clientele, is because I have like awesome mentors who are helping me with that. And you and Rhea are both, on that pedestal that, are helping me get there. So everything that you're saying, Stacey, is like so true. It's like you're very, very good at what you do. So I was super excited to see that we were going to be chatting today, because it's just awesome. Because I like I said, being someone who gets to be a part of your knowledge all the time, I never take it for granted. For sure.
Thanks, Laura. That's really lovely of you to say, because even you in the introduction talking about the teachers that you have, and that you have people stepping up and taking over programs. And I'm just like beaming with pride in the waiting room, just listening to you, because there was a time in your studio where you were doing everything, where it was, you were the go-to person. You were answering all the emails, you were answering all the phone calls, you were teaching all the classes, you were the go-to running the performance program. Like it was your show. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not sustainable if you want to have a little bit more balance in your world, and if you want to be able to do different things and try different things and go through your different stages of life. And you've found a really beautiful way to be able to balance all of your different responsibilities that you have, to be able to enjoy all of it. You get to enjoy time with Cole, but you also get to enjoy time in the studio. You get to enjoy leading this beautiful team of yours. It's been just so rewarding watching your growth as part of the Gold Alliance. And I'm beaming with pride over here on the other side of the world.
Well, I
always cheering for you.
Thank you.
Wow, that was really cool. I turned it over to the women, and you did just fine on that. Stacey, I want to ask you this. We do our podcast. I kind of know what you're going to say, but I want to reiterate a point I felt like you made. You use different words than I'm about to. It is, even if you're the leader, even if you're the motivator, you agree that you're still learning every single solitary day yourself. And you're not only learning from the life that you're living, you're learning from the conversations you're having with the people you are leading.
Mhm.
Agree?
100%. I've learned is for the what I've been able to learn from my mentees in the Gold Alliance. You can't put a price on that, and that is about investing. Like I invest time and energy and excitement in them. They invest time and energy and excitement in me, and that exchange of ideas, that ongoing learning, is just invaluable. It's helped me not only grow my business, but it's helped me be a better teacher. It's helped me be a better mum. It's helped me be a better leader. And that journey is never done. That's not something, that's not a checklist. I'm not ticking that off and going, well, very good. I know all there is to know now
Don't
about
you
studio
wish
ownership.
it was, though? Don't you wish you could go check?
It would be. But the thing about owning your own business, Ree, is that the lessons that you learn, you keep learning them until you really get it. Like the universe doesn't let you off the hook. If you have, a lesson to learn and then you don't make change and you don't continue to grow and you don't put in better policies and procedure, the universe just slaps you across the face with it again. Like, here we go. Here it is again. And then Oprah likes to talk about starting as a whisper and then being like a tap on the shoulder and then being a bus in the street. Like the universe just gets louder if you don't learn the lesson and if you don't follow that intuition. And I think that the growth part about entrepreneurship is the most exciting. I get the most excited about coming. I got so excited watching your commercial for the conference. Like, oh my gosh, when are we doing that again? I can't wait. Like, I love learning, whether that's in person, online, at your own pace, at an event. That
Mhm.
learning part is never done. And so investing in yourself and investing in your team and investing in getting better every day
Mhm.
is the best part. That's the
Yeah.
most fun. And you get to meet the best people.
Mhm. And can I add to that, Stacey? I feel like too, when I was in year 4 and 5, year 6, I was scared to spend the money to invest. That was always my fear. It's like, oh, but it's that's this much a month, or that's going to cost me this much to travel there to get to that conference. But what I learned is continuing education is the one thing that you always get your investment back in, right? Like if you are taking that time and learning and growing, and you then take it a step forward and push that all of that information into your business and put those new programs in place and put that company director in place. For me in particular, it was when you were saying all the things that I was doing, putting a company director in place. I know that my 65 families on team are taken care of by Brittany, and then I can focus on, making sure that the other 200 plus at my studio are taken care of, and they can have my attention. I can put different programs and dancing diapers and adult programs and my pop-up camps. Like if I was wrapped up over here, because this is a huge department and this was getting 99% of my attention, what about the other 200 plus dancers and those families, right? And it's not about, I don't want them to give them my attention. I want them to have sufficient attention and be handled properly. And if I'm spread too thin, I can't do that. But I feel like before, when I wasn't doing continuing education, I'm like, I'll do it all. I can do it all. We can always do it all. And then you're like, come, Saturday at 5 after I taught like 40 classes, I'm like, I'm done. I couldn't even
I
imagine
think
out
we,
my inbox, and
I,
doing emails then.
I think we go for the do it all thing because we started having to do it all, and it's hard to give it up.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
hard to delegate it. It's hard to believe that you could actually pass this on and there won't be a consequence,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And
That's
also,
male and female in business. That's
Mhm.
business.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we were also shown that, Ree, though. If we think back to our teachers, they did everything in the studio. I think their studios were a lot smaller and like there wasn't the demand of
Good.
competition and
Very
of
good.
presentation and trophies and levels and all of the things that we deal with now as entrepreneurs and as studio owners. But I know definitely I saw my teacher do everything from, you know, hand write the notes to do the checklist for the costumes, to choreograph the routine, to be at the competition. She was everywhere. And now that I talk to her and she reflects back, she has great memories of us growing up, but she also dedicated that massive chunk of her life, potentially, you know, would have liked to have spent more time with her children, more time with her family, and can't get that time back. And so she often reflects to me about the importance of balance and the importance of making sure that my cup is filled up, because she knows that for all of those years she didn't delegate, but that meant she didn't have time to fill up her own cup either, and didn't have time to really make sure that she was enjoying the journey along the way. She was just kept just
It's funny
moving
because you
train.
just described in that teacher my mother as well. I can remember spray painting the shoes, typing the recital program, cutting the music on reel to reel, just like it was all her job. There was a woman who answered the telephone and checked kids in, but that was, you know, a dance mom.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, but I got to take us back for a little smile here, because this is not intended. Where's June's Okay, this is a comment from
Oh, I saw
June.
that.
Stacey, your jacket matches the drapes behind me.
On
Hadn't
purpose, I'm
noticed
sure.
it, but thank you, June, for pointing that out. I just had those drapes put up this morning when they saw her outfit.
Dedication. Dedication.
Really
Thanks, Miss
remarkable.
June. And hi, Miss Patty.
Patty is here. June is here. Pamela Sue Fox is here. Let us know who else is here. Type in the comments. Let us know if you have any questions for Stacey.
Stacey, I have a question for you. You were talking about balance. What was the moment where you realized like you needed more balance? And then how did you move forward with putting the right boundaries and things in place?
Oh, even just telling the story is triggering, because I remember the exact moment. Lucinda, who's my first daughter, she's my only daughter. Lucinda, who is my firstborn, and she was 9 months old, and she was born in March. And so our season goes on the calendar. And so she was born in March, and I was determined to not let anything drop at the studio. I taught up until the day before I gave birth, and then I think I was back in the studio 4 days later or something ridiculous like that, and still trying my very best to keep up appearances and to be super mum, but to be also super dance studio owner and super wife and superhuman, and just gives me the heebie-jeebies just even thinking about that time in my life. But I was able to hold it all together for 9 months until the end of the year. And the end of the year, we had our recital and we had our presentation and we had all the things that happened. And then we went on holidays as a family, just as a kind of like, whew, okay, we made it. Mm-hmm. And when we got to the end, we finally got to holidays and we got to a break, and we put Lucinda in the stroller and we went for a walk. And on that walk, I said to my husband, I just like broke down. I cannot do this anymore. I remember it so inside every cell of my body. And we're walking along the street and I am just losing it. And he is going, what is going on? Because even for him, I was holding it together. And being super everything up until that point. And we're walking along the street and I was just not okay. And we stopped. And I know the exact place that we stopped. And I said, something has to change. And it was at that point that he really stepped up and said, okay, how can we get you more support? How can we get Lucinda into daycare? How can we make sure that you've got people in your leadership team that are stepping into roles and taking on responsibilities? And it wasn't, Ree, you said people have a lot of trouble delegating and passing things on. I was so broken that particular point in my journey, I was so happy to hand things on, and I didn't care what happened. I was just not okay. And so that the initial kind of passing on of different jobs and delegating of different jobs to people on my team happened out of desperation. We had a little break. I felt a little better because I had summer to have some time off and some downtime and some quality time with Lucinda, and was able to put changes in place. So when we started the next season, I was in a better place, still doing like 98% of things, but feeling better. And then with every baby that I've had after that, I've taken on obviously more responsibility at home, birthing the child and all the things, but get handed off more in the studio. And so it's kind of just made its way to a manageable point now, where I feel like my current schedule enables me to teach the classes that I want to teach, be in the studio across all of the age groups, get, all that love and passion and good stuff that I get out of teaching and also leadership. But then I also get really good quality time with the kids at home and with Heath. And so that moment for me was a turning point where I just went, this cannot go on. And a tough time in my life, but valuable.
Here's a question. How many years have gone by since that day to where you feel comfortable? Because you said, I'm there. How many years have gone by?
10. Lucinda's 11. So 10 years. And
so it's a journey that you have to keep working on. It was the point I wanted to make here.
Absolutely. And I'm still not getting it right. There's still things that I'm doing that I'm thinking, is this really me? Do I really have to be doing this? Today I unloaded all of the costumes and props in the rain from our competition over the weekend. And I was like taking things in box at a time, and the kids were in the car going, are you done yet? Like, do we have to? And I'm getting them to carry little boxes. They're being completely useless because the boxes they're carrying are like this big, and I'm carrying things that are this big. I was thinking, this is something I'm going to delegate next season. This is not going to be me. Someone else is going to be doing this in the rain, and I'll be paying them very well for the task. That's because it's the first day of our like spring break, and so the kids were like ready to go do fun things, not ready to come to the studio to help mummy unpack the van.
Right.
I have to take us back to the drapes if I can.
Because of Terry.
You are now selling drapes, Stacey. You need to hang up from this call and find a drape manufacturer.
I love it. This is what happens when I dress up. Oh no, I'll just go back to my dressing gown.
Yeah, next time we're going dressing gown, I'll go dressing gown. Now, that is a bathrobe in the U.S. for those of you that might wonder what a dressing gown is.
Sorry, a bathrobe.
That was well done, my friend.
Or a house coat. Don't you also call it a house coat sometimes?
I think my grandmother and my mother may have called it a house coat.
Yeah, I call it a robe.
It was always a robe. What about you, Laura?
I call it a robe.
This is important conversation happening in the coffee talk.
That's right.
I wanted to say something, Stacey, to add. I'm sorry, Ree, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Because I was going to say something silly. I'm going to say it, then you go. Tell everyone what a fortnight is.
Oh, we've had this conversation so many times, Ray.
I really found this so interesting. She would say, I'll see you in a fortnight. And I'd have to hang up and go look what a fortnight is.
You would Google it.
Didn't we also just not work together for a certain period of time, Ree? Because I kept sending you emails that said, let's do this in a fortnight, let's do that in a fortnight. And you were like, this Australian woman's crazy. I don't know what she's talking about.
You're like, there's a language barrier. Help.
Yeah. A fortnight is every 2 weeks, everybody.
Yes,
Well,
and I kind of like that. We should bring that to the States.
Mm. Yep. It's going to be you that's going to lead the charge, Ree,
yeah,
because we
start
talk
the
about this
trend.
all the time.
Okay, we're beginning the charge now. Everybody on this call, start calling it when you have something coming in 2 weeks. Say, I'll see you in a fortnight, and let's see
Call
if
your
we
congressman.
can't do this. Call your congressman.
Isn't that
They're
what
a
you
little
guys say
busy.
over there? Call your congressman.
They're a little busy.
I'm liking this coffee talk. I forget what the topic. Oh no, Laura, you were going into something a little deeper than this.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say something that you said to me in one of our mentoring sessions that kind of just popped in my head when you were talking about delegating. I remember one time I was saying, I don't know if I want to give this up. I don't know if I want to give this up. And you said, Laura, it can just only be for a season. And in my mind, it was like, I kind of thought like if I handed something off, that it was gone forever. Maybe my Thursday nights I taught were gone forever, or my Saturdays were gone forever. And you were like, it could just be for this season. And you said not even just the dance season, just this season of your life. Like, what if when Cole gets into full day school, you feel like, oh no, I want to get back into my groove and take on another night during the week, or go back onto Saturdays, or offer different things. And I remember I felt so much more peace in my decisions when they didn't have to feel so forever, if that makes sense. Like for me, it was like I thought when I changed something, that was it. It was always going to be that way. And then I was like, why do I think that? It could just be for this season of my life, or just this dance season, right? It can always change. You're the owner. You can always, it can flow with your own life. That's the beautiful thing about being entrepreneurs and having our own businesses is things can change as your life changes. So that was just something I wanted to just kind of share with everybody, like that little nugget that like, it's just for a season, just for this season. I always hear myself when I'm making decisions, like I hear that line, it could just be for a season. Like, okay, we'll do this.
I
And if it
love
doesn't
that.
work, it could just be
I
for a
love
season.
that too. I
Yeah.
do, because you can change your mind,
Mm-hmm.
and you're
Oh my
allowed to
gosh.
do that.
And that, Ree,
Sometimes
is something that women don't really lean into enough. It is okay for us to change our mind. It is okay for us to change what the role we want to play, whether that's in life or in the studio. I think sometimes we hold on to this idea of what a dance studio owner should be doing, or what I feel like I should be teaching. And at the end of the day, it's really up to us. The season thing is something that I like to tell to my students as well, because they get, they like to gush and say, oh, Miss Stacey, I wish I was having you for ballet. Not, not in this season. In this season, I'm, looking after Henry, who's, just going to school. It's his first year of school. And so it doesn't mean I won't ever teach you ballet again. It just means this season you get Miss Ange, and she's brilliant. And so I like to say that with especially my girls, because I want them to know they can change their mind. I want them to know that they have the ability to orchestrate their life and be able to make good choices and be able to paint their own, picture of the life that they want, not the life that they think they should be living.
Yeah.
and life changes. So you may have made this decision to do it this way here, but 5 years later, new people, new circumstances, new life. You are not giving up by not doing exactly this thing that you thought was going to be the journey. You're actually enhancing it if you are open to accepting, I'm going to change now because life changed.
Right.
Yeah.
Without panicking about it. I think that's a key.
I feel like change is like a muscle. If we don't work it, if we don't practice it, if we don't use it in all aspects of our life, then when one, big major life change happens, and these things usually come unexpectedly, and we, our whole world falls apart. I feel like if we've been working the muscle and changing here and changing there and being adaptable and being flexible, and that makes those big moments a little bit easier. I know that's something I practice with my kids all the time. Like Patrick's swimming lessons have changed from Tuesday, which they've been his whole life, to a Monday. And you would think that I just told him that he was no longer able to go on the iPad ever again, because it's his whole little world is just exploding. And so I'm trying to give my kids the practice of change. We can do this, or we could change our mind and we could do that, and change is okay, and you will adapt and you'll be fine, and here's the strategies, here's the tools, all the things, because I'm also teaching myself that lesson along the way. Motherhood has the unique ability of doing that to you, giving you lessons through your children that you actually need to learn yourself. So yeah, I'm working that change muscle all the time.
Being a mentor does that too. I find myself consistently offering advice that I know is the right advice. And in the back of my head, I'm saying, Ree, you need to do this. I can tell a lot of people how to have a successful life. Talking to myself is not as easy.
Yeah. And I find I have coaching clients, as I said, across a range of industries, across different continents. And I can pinpoint in any certain week themes that come up for everybody from different strategies and different continents, different industries, but ongoing themes. And if I look at what that theme is, so let's say that this week we're talking about balance. This week, this person's talking to me about balance. That person in Canada's talking to me about balance. Someone up the road's talking to me about balance. If I reflect, I will be able to clearly pinpoint where that particular thing in my life, balance, is kind of off kilter. And it's spooky sometimes. And I'm the same, Ree. I hear myself giving advice to those people and saying, well, you just need to try and do this and this and this, and thinking to myself, well, I haven't done this and this and this.
Right.
I'll go home and do that.
That used to bother me or made me feel bad, but I've learned to say to myself, if you preach it enough, you will get there. It's almost like every time I say it, it's getting me one step closer to actually practicing that consistently. It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
And here's my advice. And you may get there faster than me.
There's also a part of that, Ree, that is so important, because as a mentor, leader, teacher, as we like to talk about all the time, especially on the podcast, we can't be dishing out this advice and not doing it ourselves. We can't be making sure that people understand that they have to have these strategies and then be like sitting back on our laurels and not bothering to do it. We have to lead. We have to make sure that we're setting the right example. We have to make sure we're showing up. And sometimes that's hard. That's tough to drink our own medicine.
Yeah.
I'm doing it all the time. Every day.
I got a question that I'm curious what your response would be. What do you see as something that's the biggest difference between the US and Australian dance worlds, studio worlds? Is there something that is like, oh, we don't do that? Or
no, I think the themes are universal. No matter where the studio is, the studio owners are always trying their best to inspire, to share that passion, to pass on that passion to the next generation. Always trying to leave a legacy. Legacy is something I find myself talking about a lot with studio owners. They want to pass on their passion to that next generation. They want to be remembered as this kind of teacher or that kind of teacher. They want to make sure that they give their students the same kind of experience or a very different experience than they had when they were learning. And I find that that's universal across the board. Everyone is trying their best. Everyone, no, it's not a job you can go into and half do it. Everybody is really trying really hard to up their game, no matter where their studio is. I feel like we're the hardest working people, especially because our day starts early and it finishes late, and it's never ending. And even though we have a season and then have a summer, we spend the summer like doing professional development and learning more and taking our own class and cutting music or being inspired. And then we start a new season. My husband's an optometrist. When he finishes work, he's finished work. He comes home and he is like, he's not thinking about eyes or testing people's eyes, or he does do professional development.
Imagine what that life is like, though. Like, can you all take a second and just think, like, if we were to just live that 9 to 5, and then like I don't even know what that would feel like. You know what
I'm
I
not
mean?
wired for it, Laura. I don't think I'd be okay. I'd be like,
right.
I could not. I could not do that life. I actually love the growing up. I call it the after school, so 3:30 to 10 dance life, and then full weekends.
Yeah.
It was a very active involvement at the time, but that's changed so much.
And the thing is, Ree, you can choose. If you're the studio owner, you're in a beautiful position where you get to choose. Some weeks that is the life. It's every night till 10 and it's a full weekend, and I'm coming off the high of a great competition weekend, so I'm feeling that. I'm like, yes, more, let's go. And then some other parts of the season, you want to be able to pull back a little bit, have a couple of more days off, do some more self-care. And the great joy of being in leadership and having your own business is that you get to choose how you spend that time. And that's a tough lesson for studio owners to learn, because sometimes we think we should be doing everything and we should be at the studio, the first to turn up and the last to go home. But that's not really what leadership looks like in 2024.
Yeah.
No, and I'd say in the era that I have pictured in my head when I make that comment, it was an era of, especially for women who were in business, of I'm going to make this work. Because the men, the people I tried to borrow money from who turned me down, they all didn't think I could do this.
Yeah.
And so there was a mentality of, I have to show that a woman can run a business. So therefore, I'm going to pour everything I have into it. Where today you look, and that's why I say, if you weren't here at the beginning, you may not know this. I'm ready to turn it over to the women, because your ability to make it through the struggle and now go on top of it, we can have balance too. I've watched that as I've grown older. I've watched it from the beginning, where it was work 24/7 because you had to prove your point. Maybe you were the breadwinner in the family, so therefore you had no choice but to do that. Willing to give up things that now moms and women wouldn't give up. And look at where we are in 2024. I'm going to Florida with my family for a week, and it's the busiest time of the year at the studio. And I figured out how to make that happen, and I paid for it with my studio money.
Yeah, I did. And I don't think I would have learnt that lesson, Ree, if I hadn't had beautiful female role models showing me the way. And most of them I met at your conference. Terry, Patty, who are here on the call, they're the people that shone the light and said, you can do this. See, here I am doing it for you, raising a family, running a successful studio, teaching classes, not teaching classes, taking my family away, prioritizing my kids' sporting activities, like, because they showed me how to do it. That every day I think about that. Every day I think, what would they do and how would they do it? And I get the opportunity now to mentor others and show and continue shining that light and show them how to do it too. And that is not, I was only talking today, actually it was yesterday, because now it's tomorrow, to one of my mentees. And I said to her, you can't be what you can't see. And she owns a studio and 2 hours from me. And she's not officially a mentee. We were just at the competition weekend together, and she's a new studio owner. And I just reached out to her and said, while you're in town, do you want to have a coffee? Because I don't know you very well, and I'd love to hear how your journey's going and how the studio's going. And so, you know, we have one of those beautiful coffees where the first 15 minutes is just like, yes, everything's great. It's wonderful. We're having a wonderful time. And then by, you know, minute 16, she's like, this is so hard. And I'm like, yes, it absolutely is. But I said to her, you cannot be what you cannot see. And so there are, a bunch of us studio owners here in town that anytime you're in town, let us know, reach out, because we'd love to sit with you and hear and hold space for you and say, yes, it is hard. And here's the little things that I did that made it easier for me. And just, you have no idea, Ree, how like the things that we learn in your studio, the things that we learn at your conference, it's not just about the information and the content that comes from the mouths of the people that you have presenting, the faculty that you bring together. It's about being able to see them and to be able to watch what they do and to be inspired by the lives that they lead, because when we see it, we can be it. And that's been so powerful for me as part of my learning.
Yeah, I can't agree more with you, Stacey. I feel like I was very blessed growing up. It's interesting, my studio owner actually just passed like a year and a half ago, but she never taught dance. She opened up the studio for her daughter, and her daughter suddenly passed away when she was like a junior in college, but they already had the studio open for her. So the daughter's best friend stepped in and she did all the teaching, but Anna Marie ran the business. And I remember she pulled me in when I was like 18. I was a freshman in college, and she said to me, "You want to do this?" And I said, "Yeah." And she opened up her very old school like book of how she kept all of her, her receipt books and the checks and the balances and the credits and the debits. And she goes, "This is how you run a business." And I remember thinking to myself, wow, one, you see me, and two, you respect and trust me so much that you know that I would never open a studio down the street, right? Like you know and understand that you see something in me, you recognize it, and you're going to help me on my journey and set me up for success. But it was amazing to watch. So she was always a studio owner since I was 2 when I first went to that studio. So we're talking 1987 I started dancing, right? Like, so for me, I think to myself, wow, how amazing it is that I always had a strong female entrepreneur to look at, because she never allowed anyone to push her around. There was never freebies at her studio. There were scholarships when needed. I know that. She was very kind and aware of different hardships, but she was a straight shooter. And I always appreciated that. And she had her family, and her husband was an accountant. So he had his own business. She had her business. I just thought to myself, like, what a power couple. Like, you have it like figured out. But I just think having someone like that from a very young age, seeing that and seeing how she had that balance. And even so, when I opened my own business, it was still hard for me, even having that person to look back on, being like, oh, how am I going to do that? How am I going to put those steps in place? So I feel like it is important for all of us entrepreneurs, especially in the dance studio owner business, because it's so specific. Like you said, it's like, what business is waking up at 7 a.m. doing emails and posting on Instagram, Facebook feeds, and then posting on the mommy pages, and then going to go teach, and then mopping the floors at 9:30, and then taking out the trash to the dumpsters at 10 o'clock, and getting home, and then doing it all over the next day. Like, we're not normal. We're very specific, and in a good way. I don't want to be normal, but we're a very specific industry, right? Because we're taking care of people's most prized possessions, which is their children, right? And we're helping them become who they want them to be. But I feel like it's just so important that us as studio owners find our village and find that support in other studio owners, because no one really understands what it's like unless you're in it, unless you're in the trenches and you're in it and you're trying to find that balance. And even within all of us, we're all different, where our balance is, right? Some people want to be at that 7 days a week. They want that. Me personally, I needed a different balance, right? So, but it's just so important that you have that camaraderie between studio owners. I found that, with the Gold Alliance, with the Studio Alliance, going to conferences, it just makes you even more confident as a studio owner, and you feel like you're just not standing in all those hard decisions alone, you know?
So much. And I love that we are in a generation where we can lean on each other and we can share with each other, and I can have coffee with the studio owner down the road, because at the end of the day, we all love dance. We're all passionate about what we do, and no one gets it like we get it. But that wasn't the way for my teacher, and I'm sure it definitely wasn't that way for your mum, Reed. There's no way your mum was having coffee with the studio owner in town, right?
Right.
Well, no, she'd have coffee, maybe, but they never would have got to the point where they would have admitted they were having troubles.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Do you get that?
Yeah.
They'd exaggerate their successes.
That
Wouldn't
vulnerability.
say, what did you say?
I said that's not helpful. That
No. You
in
didn't
terms
want
of
to
support for
admit
each
you
other, that
weren't.
you just go home feeling like,
Yeah.
hyperventilating.
Yeah, everything is terrific. Really great registration this year. The recital was awesome. They wouldn't admit, oh my God, I'm miserable after the worst, hardest recital I've ever put on. You got any suggestions? They never do that. That is definitely a 2024 started a little while ago thing. And how great is it? You couldn't say you were vulnerable.
Yeah. Well, that makes me feel like what a lonely place that is. Right?
Agreed.
Like trying to figure all of that out. Like, I love that when something doesn't work at the studio, I can call someone in the Gold Alliance. I can lean on one of my mentors. I can post on one of the Facebook pages I'm a member of and be like, hey, I tried X, Y, and Z, but it didn't work. Does anyone else do this? How have you, like, that vulnerability, I feel like, is really important, but I think that comes with feeling safe around your circle, right?
And it comes with having confidence in yourself, which is the root of everything that I talk about.
Yeah.
The ability to be confident. I don't care what somebody thinks of me. She's struggling too.
Right.
How cool is that? That we have come to this place.
Yeah.
I'm proud of us.
Yeah. And my teacher sees what I do in terms of building relationship with other studio owners, and it just blows her mind. She's like, what do you mean you caught up? What do you mean you're having dinner? What do you mean your kids are having a play date? Like, it's just so foreign to her. So I'm very grateful that times have changed and that we're in a different place, because I don't know if I would still be doing what I'm doing had I not had that support along the way, and had I not had great female role models who were happy to share and happy to say, yes, this is tough, this is hard. Because if it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Yeah.
It is a tough journey. It's so rewarding though.
Yeah. Can I tell you, my aha moment was September 14th was the first Saturday the second Saturday that I did not teach dance in 22 years. The first Saturday in 22 years that I didn't teach dance. And I was standing on my son's soccer field watching him play. He's 3, so watching him play soccer. Okay, like they're just running around like ping pong balls bouncing off of each other.
But I bet he's the best soccer player on the team.
I'm like, we're gonna do travel. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm like, I get it now that I'm on this end. But I remember like standing there and being like, I have 6 baby classes going right now. I have rehearsals going later on, and I'm thinking like, wow, this is my version of like, I made it, that I can be on this field. And I'm looking at the studio Instagram feed, the stories. I'm like, oh, that class looks like they're good. Oh, that class looks great. Oh, there they go with their ribbons. Oh, she's doing this shaker song. Like, I could see that they're all doing what they're doing, and they all text me at the end of the day, great day, Laura. This mom, wants to exchange this shoe. Can you do that? But like, no fires. We're all good. Everyone was happy, but standing on that field, I was like, this is where I was supposed to be today. Not at the studio. I was supposed to be right here watching Cole trip over his feet running down that field, that soccer ball. Like, and I'm like, I would have missed that for the world. And I love
And
my dance studio. I love it. That's
that
my
you
baby.
do,
But
and you can have both. And this has been a long time coming, though, right? You've been talking about dropping Saturdays for what, 16 years now? No,
yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, the
at least
studio is
12 months.
I mean, yeah, since he was a baby, that was always the goal. That once
Yeah.
he started his activities, that I would stop. That I would be there. I'd be the mom. I wouldn't be the studio owner or the teacher.
And you did it, and that takes bravery, and that takes courage,
Planning.
and not just planning, not just talking about it, but actually doing it. And I love that you had that very rewarding moment. The soccer thing wears off very fast. I've only been a soccer mum for one season, but I'm like, oh, well, that's done. That's good. And the boys are like, no, next year. I'm like, we're doing that again? Really? Can't we choose an
Okay,
indoor sport?
think about the dance mom saying that to their child, just throwing that out there.
But they wouldn't because dancers indoors. Look, I've found my new marketing campaign. Dancers indoors, dance, you drop your child off and you go and have a coffee or do the groceries or something, and then you come back and collect them. When it rains, you're not standing in the cold. My boys play soccer in like torrential rain.
Yep.
I'm like, are we calling this off? They're like, nope, game goes on.
And that's the same in the States, just so you know.
These are the things I'm going to be talking about for my next season marketing. Put your child in dance. You will not have to stand in the rain. Put your child in dance. You can just drop them off. Put your child in dance. It goes all year. It doesn't go for a certain amount of weeks and then all of a sudden stop and your children have a meltdown. You can dance all year round. Soccer has taught me so much.
Okay. That's because I think you have something there.
100%.
Okay. Those were wonderful words, but do you have some final words of wisdom as we close out today's coffee talk, Stace?
See, when we record the podcast, I leave final words to you. I just point to you and off you go. So the tables have really turned.
They have.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most important thing for studio owners, or the biggest lesson that I have learned, is that there's strength in numbers. You have people around you. You just have to be able to be brave enough to reach out. And when you do reach out and you do be vulnerable and you do say, help, I'm struggling with this, I need that. When you do invest that time and money in that learning and that community, it comes back to you tenfold. And so if the sooner in your business journey, you can start investing in yourself, filling up your own cup, giving yourself time to be where you need to be on a Saturday, or to learn what you need to learn, to invest in that course, to go to that event, the sooner that you can start doing that, the sooner you will see the payoff. So the sooner you will see it come back to you. And that has been the most valuable lesson for me in business, that you can chart my profit and loss in my business based on how much I invested in my own professional development and learning. The years that I invested a lot, you see my profit, and the years that I didn't, the years I had a baby, it's not the same. It's just not the same. And I used to think that was just something people said, at courses and things, but I can now, over 15 years, see the pattern of the years that I invested in myself and the years that I didn't, and how that flow on effect really affected my business. And so I encourage people to reach out, to sign up, to go all in, and because it's only going to come flowing back to you. And that's been a really important lesson for me. And I'm really, really lucky and blessed that I get to spend time with incredible studio owners from all over the world, because they inspire me to want to do better in my studio.
Thank you so much, Stacey.
And enjoy the journey.
Okay, yes. That's how I would close the podcast. But I want to close this by saying, listening to you and having this conversation today, I'm proud of where we're at.
Yeah.
We as an industry, we're making a difference, and we are in so much better a place. Not that the old place was bad. so much better in an understanding of who we are and our impact in 2024. So I'll end this by saying how proud I am of all of us as dance educators in the dance industry.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to say just to Laura real fast as we're going out, so much for a short coffee talk. Have
Always.
a great day, everybody.
Bye.